Hey everyone, Eric here. In this video, we're checking out the Zzombee from Beetronics. The Zzombee is referred to as a Filtremulator, which kind of makes sense because it encompasses a lot of different effects, and it's really a first in its kind. And Beetronics made this kind of effect up, so they decided to name it a Filtremulator. So before we get into it, let's go over the signal chain. We're using this Woodwright Warlord. We're going into the Zzombee and then into the front of a Marshall DSL-20, and then that's going into the aux. Aux is going out to my interface. That's how we're getting the signal from the guitar into the computer. The Zzombee is made up, in my mind, of kind of three separate sections. So on the right side here, we have our drive signal, or fuzz. On the left side, we have our monophonic octave. And then in the middle section is our filter and LFO. And these are broad terms because inside each effect, especially the filter, it uses multiple controls. But that's how I like to think about it because it makes it a little bit easier to digest. So let's go ahead and get into our drive section. Our drive section is controlled with this top toggle switch on the right here, and this control labeled B. The B control is the volume of our drive signal. And then the toggle lets us select between how much gain we want. So with the toggle switch all the way over to the right, we only have drive signal. In the middle of the toggle, it's labeled BZ, so it's just bzz. And that is an overdrive sound. And then on the right-hand side, it's labeled BZZZ. So it's bzzz, and that means it's a fuzz sound. So at face value, that is what the drive section is all about, but we actually have alternate parameters. We have a couple other levels of gain that we can access with the alternate parameter of the toggle switch. Essentially what that means is on the overdrive setting and the fuzz setting, we actually have a lower gain version, a lower gain variant of those two modes. And how we access them is we press and hold the bypass foot switch to access our alternate parameters, and then we just move the toggle switch to whichever mode we want. So let's go ahead and hear the overdrive at face value. Just turn the toggle switch to overdrive. Now let's go ahead and hear the alternate voice of the overdrive. It's just a little less gainy than the main voice. Same with the fuzz. Let's go ahead and hear the fuzz. Now let's go ahead and hear the alternate voice of the fuzz. And on the left-hand side of the pedal is where our monophonic octave signal lives. Similar to the drive signal, we have a knob labeled Parasite, and that just means the volume of our monophonic octave signal. So you can hear it's really glitchy and really cool sounding. That is our octave signal. So that's very simple. And now we've come to the filter section of the pedal, and that's kind of in the middle of the pedal. This is where the Zzombee gets interesting and truly unique. So the filter inside the Zzombee is a low pass filter with a high Q. And that means it's kind of like a wah that really gnarly nasal sound that you can sweep up and down the frequency spectrum. The toggle switch in the middle of the pedal right here has 3 positions. The middle is off, so we're not applying the filter to anything. The honey setting is over on the right, and that's applying the filter to our drive section. Or we can turn it to the left, which is our octave setting, and that is applying the filter to our octave. So let's go ahead and hear how the filter sounds on our distorted signal. Now we can turn the middle toggle switch over to the octave setting, and what we're doing now is we're applying the filter to the octave signal and not the distortion signal. Now that we understand how to apply the filter to a specific signal, I've been demonstrating the toggle switch in the top left. This is a 3-way toggle again, and this lets us choose the mode of the filter. So right now we're in the left position, and that is ramp mode. And ramp mode allows you to interactively press and hold the left foot switch right here to momentarily ramp the filter all the way to its max setting. So let's hear how that sounds. Sounds pretty gnarly, and we can actually do that with the distortion sound too. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate the fact that in this mode, the 2 channels are not linked together, so we have separate volume controls for each one, so we can isolate either one. Now that's going to bring us to our wingspan control in the middle here. Now, as you've seen, I've been moving the wingspan control to move the bottom end of the cue. So we're moving how far down that cue is sitting. And the Zzombee gives us an alternate depth control. You can see the text right here for the filter. And we can think of the alternate depth control as the top end, the ceiling. So if we're thinking in frequency spectrum, the wingspan is the low end, how far that filter goes down. And once we press and hold the bypass foot switch and start to turn, now this is our depth control, and we can set the ceiling. Right now we set the depth or the ceiling of our filter at midpoint. So now what we can do is we can turn the wingspan down to choose where we want the filter to stop in the low frequencies. That's pretty good. And now when we ramp, we're actually going to take the wingspan and send it all the way to the depth control, which is our ceiling. Now again, let's go ahead and set the depth, the ceiling, all the way to max. So we press and hold the foot switch, we turn the depth control all the way to the top, we release the foot switch, now we're back to the wingspan control, and we're gonna set that to the minimum. Now what we have is the entire frequency spectrum of that filter. You can hear that at minimum, we're not really getting anything because the cue of the filter is so low. So let's go ahead and bump that up. So now we can demonstrate exactly how far we're sweeping. And now, just like we have an alternate control on the wingspan knob right here, we also have alternate controls for the B knob and the parasite, and that is how slow or fast our ramp takes. The ramp is how long it takes to get to max when we press and hold that foot switch to ramp through the filter. The parasite knob becomes the ramp up, which is labeled right here underneath the knob. We can press and hold the foot switch to access our alternate parameter. And then if we want a really quick, almost instantaneous ramp, we turn the knob all the way down. And now what we've done is set the ramp up to be instantaneous, as quick as possible, and the ramp down is set to our default setting. And then the alternate parameter of the B control is our ramp down. So we heard the instantaneous ramp up of the filter. Now we can press and hold the foot switch and our B control becomes the ramp down speed. So if we want an instantaneous ramp down, we can turn that control all the way counterclockwise. Now let's hear how that sounds with the quickest ramp up and ramp down setting. As we turn those controls up clockwise, we're gonna get a longer ramp in and out. So let's go ahead and set our ramp up and ramp down to a longer speed. We press and hold the bypass foot switch and turn the parasite, which is our ramp up. Let's go up to like 60%. And same for the B control, which becomes our ramp down speed. So we press and hold the foot switch, turn that up to about 60 or so, and now we have a slower ramp up and ramp down. By default, the filter ramps from low frequencies all the way up to high, but if we want to reverse that, we can double tap the bypass foot switch. And that shifts our cue all the way up to the top, and then when we press and hold the ramp foot switch, it sends it down. Now we're going to jump back up to the top left of the pedal, the mode toggle, and we're going to shift it to the middle position labeled LFO. And this attaches our filter to an LFO, which is similar to the ramp feature, but it's constantly moving. And again, our wingspan controls the floor of that sweep. And then the depth control, the alternate to the wingspan, controls the top end, the ceiling of that sweep. So right there, I just went ahead and condensed the LFO to not sweeping as far. We can control the rate of the LFO in a couple different ways. We can use the left foot switch to tap tempo. Or in this LFO mode, we can use the alternate parameter of the B control, which is our rate. So to access the rate control, we press and hold the foot switch, and now the B controls the rate. So if we turn it all the way down, we're gonna get the slow speeds. And then if we want faster speeds, we turn that rate up. And again, we're applying this filter to the distortion sound. We can also apply it to the monophonic octave down. So now it's on the monophonic octave down because we switched this toggle to the left position. And then in this LFO mode, we can subdivide our tap tempo by accessing the alternate parameter of the parasite control. And you have 7 different tap subdivisions to choose from. Now we're gonna go ahead and jump right back up to the mode toggle. We're gonna flip to the right position, and this is the MAD mode. And essentially what this is a step sequencer controlling the filter. So if we just go ahead and hit a chord, you can hear that it gets pretty ridiculous. And in this mode, you have a lot of different patterns to choose from, and we can choose how many steps are in each pattern by the alternate parameter of the parasite control. At minimum, we get 2 steps. And as you increase our sequence control, it gives you more and more steps. You can hear that the step sequencer is really fast right now, so we can again access the alternate parameter of our B control to turn that rate down. So inside just the sequencer knob, you have a ton of different patterns. As you turn the control, you are increasing the amount of steps, but you're also scrolling through patterns. So if you get a sequence that you like, you can actually save it to the onboard presets. There are 2. We're gonna get into how to save presets a little bit later. Next up, we have the amplitude modes of the pedal, which can be accessed by turning the filter to the off position. And in this mode, we're ramping the amplitude of signals, which means the volume. And this gives us an alternate set of controls on the mode toggle. So we have pair, X, and B. On the left side, we have the par setting, and that's going to ramp our parasite control. So what we have when we're playing is just the distortion section. Once we press and hold the left foot switch, we're ramping the amplitude or the volume of the parasite control all the way up to where it's set. And then if we turn the toggle over to the B control, this is going to let us ramp the distortion section. And of course, we can reverse that ramp if we double tap the foot switch. Now we're ramping from the knob setting to minimum. In the middle of the amplitude mode toggle, we have X. And in the X mode, we're moving from signal to signal. So instead of turning one volume up, we're now setting each volume to wherever the knob is, and we're moving this way from left to right. So we're moving from one signal to the next. Let's hear how that sounds. So you can hear that movement from the distortion side to the octave side. And the wingspan control in this mode blends the signal from a sine wave, which is very smooth, to a square wave, which is very stark. So it blends from sine wave on minimum to square wave on maximum. We can access the alternate parameter of our B, which is rate, so we can make that transition happen faster. Now let's say you've made it through everything and you found a sound that you like. You want to save it to one of the 2 onboard presets. This is my sound right here. So every time I press that foot switch, we're gonna immediately ramp into the low octave. To save that, what you can do is you press and hold both foot switches for 2 seconds. The LED is going to light and increasingly flicker. Once it's fully illuminated, you can let go and it goes into this mode right here. So now what you do is you select which preset you want. I'm gonna choose 1, and then we press and hold the foot switches again. The LED is going to again ramp up to where it's solid, and now we have saved our preset. So we can go from anything to immediately recalling whatever setting we want. I hope you enjoyed this look at the Zzombee from Beetronics. This is one of the coolest pedals, in my opinion. If you found really cool sounds and really cool settings, let us know in the comments below. Make a video, tag me, I would love to see it. I'm gonna leave a link to the Beetronics website in the description below. Also, if you want to pick up the Beetronics, they are sold over at Sweetwater, and I actually have affiliate links for Sweetwater, Reverb, and Amazon down in the description. What those do is they send you directly over to that site. It lets the site know that I sent you, and anything you buy through that link, I get a small commission on, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. So it saves you time, it doesn't cost you anything extra, and it helps support the channel. So if you want to do that, the links are in the description below. I also want to send a huge thank you to my Patreon fam, my supporters over there. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I want to thank you for watching this video. I hope you're doing well out there. I hope you're staying safe. And most of all, I hope you're taking care of yourself. I'll see you in the next video.